Breaking right now, lots of speculation about what is going on with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle after she decided to call in sick to a major Kevin Costner charity event on Friday night after that damning Hollywood Reporter takedown described her as a dictator in high heels. According to Taz, is the royal YouTube sensation who, as ever, has some of the best royal insights online, and I'm delighted that she joins me now. So, Taz, lots to unpick here. This was quite a shock that Meghan wasn't at the Kevin Costner event, wasn't it? It's for first responders. It's a charity thing. There were lots of A-listers there like Jeff Bridges and Rob Lowe and Pink. And you'll remember last year, Meghan very much was there center stage. So what do you think is going on? Is she really sick, or was she concerned that there was going to be serious backlash because this would be the first time she would have appeared in front of the public since this absolutely damning investigation by the Hollywood Reporter?
Wow, there's lots to unpack with this. There's lots of theories obviously going around. I personally, with Meghan, we know that she's excited to turn up at the opening of an envelope. The thought that
Yes.
she could be mingling with with other A-listers. For her to turn that down, it must be something serious. And I think it's got more to do with ego than it does illness, in all honesty. Firstly, as you said, that very, very damning article has come out from the Hollywood Reporter with reportedly 12 people willing and waiting to back it up. So they've made sure that they have dotted their I's and crossed their T's. 12 people is an awful lot of people to be confirming more bullying allegations. So there is that. But then there is also the fact that Meghan was there last year and she was humiliated, not once, but twice. And it was all over the organisers not wanting her to have the microphone. Firstly, she came on stage, and I think it was Harry was meant to give a speech because one of the female organisers walked over to Harry with the microphone and he gestured like he does to give it to Meghan. And Meghan reached for it, and the lady quickly changed her mind, took the microphone away, and pretended that she was walking in the distance. And then, not long after that humiliation, obviously, this is on the stage, everybody's there watching it. The other organizer, a gentleman, goes to hand the microphone to Harry again. And yet again, Meghan goes to take it. He holds it back and even laughs and says no, and then continues talking. So it could be lots of reasons why she didn't go, but I think her being genuinely sick is at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, indeed. And it's odd as well, isn't it? Because I know we're going to come to Prince Harry in New York, where he is today, very shortly, but she's also not there either. So this was an opportunity for her to turn up with Harry, to put some of the rumors to rest. Quite significant that she decided not to do that.
Yes, there certainly seems to be, I would say, trouble ahead, I think, for the couple. It's becoming glaringly obvious that salt and pepper, as Meghan once said, no longer moves together. They seem to be doing more and more things completely separate of each other. But I've noticed a real shift. It seems that Harry is the one being elevated. It's Harry being asked to go to events and not Meghan. She is still obviously on WME's client list, but it would seem that Harry's almost being elevated and Meghan is being pushed into the background. Now, I can't see her taking that taking that too well, to be honest with you. And as you said, he's in New York. It's only the first 24 hours of his appearances, and I'm sure that we will get a paparazzi car park stroll with Meghan, who miraculously appears somewhere in the Santa Barbara, Montecito area. You can synchronize your watches to it normally when her husband is making appearances. But there does seem to be trouble afoot for the couple.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? It is very
Yeah.
odd. And certainly there's trouble in terms of her Hollywood career because, as you say, yes, we believe she is still represented by WME, but for how much longer? Because she didn't show up to the Emmy party that they hosted, and that's a really significant moment in the Hollywood calendar. Again, that would have been an opportunity for her to say, oh, I'm not taking this Hollywood Reporter thing very seriously, but I think she is, and I will come to that momentarily. But first, it wasn't a particularly good night, I have to say, for Harry either at the Kevin Costner event, because firstly, there was an awkward moment where he was mistaken for Prince William. Now, this was by the wife of Richard Marx, who ended up tagging the Prince and Princess of Wales Instagram account instead of Harry, who obviously doesn't have an Instagram account. And then Richard himself, when he came off stage, nearly missed Harry. And I thought this very, very short video, Taz, really sums up just how far Harry has fallen. He now has to hang around backstage waiting for no-mark pop stars to shake their hand, even though they're not introduced, and desperately be called Prince Harry. Watch this.
Recently, Meghan Markle pulled out of a major public engagement, citing illness. But almost immediately, royal insiders began whispering she wasn't sick. She just didn't want to show up. And now, according to a fresh exposé, even Prince Harry himself is reportedly growing frustrated with what he sees as excuses and evasions. Behind the scenes, he's emotionally drained, sources say, and growing disillusioned with how Meghan handles the spotlight. Multiple royal commentators are now pointing to clear signs of tension between Harry and Meghan. They're showing up to events separately, looking distant in public. And more often than not, Harry looks exhausted. Insiders say he's tired of playing along, tired of the spin.
Richard, Prince Harry, hey, well done. Richard, Prince Harry, hey, well done.
So that's what he does now, Taz. He sort of hangs around backstage at a moderately interesting A-list event and is introduced as Prince Harry to these celebrities who don't really give a damn.
That was it. That's where we were at. Richard Marx walking down the stairs and how far Harry's fallen. Yes, the fact that he had to be introduced. This is Prince Harry. And notice that the member of staff did introduce him as Prince Harry as well. We were told when Harry left the royal family, he just wanted to be known as Harry, didn't he? He just wanted to be Jack the lad. But back is that princely title, even though he hates everything to do with the royal family. But yes, so that did make me laugh. And
it just
he's a bit of a
it just didn't go down well for him at all. And actually, I want to just show you this exchange of X messages that you were involved with. But Royally Sage wrote, sick with worry, she might be booed after exposed as a bully, more like. The coward train continues. So that was about why Meghan didn't turn up. But then, interestingly, Katie Stevens-Miller, who was actually at the event, posted saying, I was at Kevin Costner's event last night, actually held at his backyard. I took this photo of Harry without his wife when he was introduced. He did not get a very welcoming reception. And you wrote, Taz, very different to the images sold to the media. He wasn't booed, but he wasn't well received. He looked like a pit bull chewing a wasp. Most normal people would feel embarrassed, but Harry just looks angry and resentful how far he has fallen. And this is very much in line with Angela Levin's reporting here on Outspoken that at the bookstore event in Montecito, there was some booing of Meghan too. So certainly their stock has significantly fallen, even locally now.
Oh, it's absolutely plummeted. I think they're at ground zero. I mean, especially Meghan. I can't see that her popularity can get any lower. As I said, I am finding it a little bit, there has been a bit of a shift because it seems that everyone is going for Meghan at the moment. Yet Harry seems to be getting a slight, teeny tiny free pass. He was obviously invited to this charity fundraiser for Kevin Costner. Whether Meghan, for as we said, multiple reasons why she probably didn't go, licking some wounds from last year. It's obvious that Harry is still trying to do the celebrity circuit and go in it alone. So that to me shows that he is becoming more independent from Meghan. There is definitely a shift in their dynamics. He does seem, a lot of the time that we've seen him at any events he's been with her, he seems more fed up than what she does. I mean, obviously Meghan is an actress. She's always had that exact same rictus grin. But Harry does seem very, very tired of it all. But he obviously still isn't ready to give up this push for a celebrity stroke royal lifestyle. Otherwise, he wouldn't continue to go to events like this. But it is definitely a fall from grace when an 80s icon, Richard Marx, has to be told, oh, this is Prince Harry. So his ego is definitely being hit hard as well at the moment.
Tired of being blamed, and tired of feeling like he's always defending Meghan's choices. One source close to the couple said bluntly, Harry's starting to see the pattern, and he's done making excuses. And it's not just insiders talking. The public sees it too. Online, people are questioning why Meghan keeps vanishing from key appearances, why Harry looks so defeated, and why their once glamorous brand now feels so tired and chaotic. People are asking, where's the unity? Where's the chemistry? And most importantly, where's the truth? Because let's be honest, we've seen this story before.
It is. I mean, what's very interesting, Taz, is that the Hollywood Reporter article did give Harry a pass. It was basically like, oh, he's a nice guy, but he enables her. So do you think he will be siding with her over this, or is finally the rose-tinted glasses starting to come off and there is a dawning realization from Harry, oh my goodness, my brother was right?
Oh, I think you're giving him far too much credit at this early stage, Dan. I think Harry's got many more years before that actually dawns on him. I'm not even sure Harry will ever admit that other people were right. Lots of people have spoken out about Harry over the years, people that have known him from childhood, and said that he never, ever will back down. He will never admit that he's been wrong. But I do think that the hold that Meghan has over him has definitely slipped. He seems less willing to play the game. He doesn't look happy a lot of the time. He does look resentful and bitter, as we saw from that tweet from someone that was actually there. That's with the media selling us this happy Harry. Oh, look, he looks really popular. Everybody looks really happy. But then when people are actually there or the cameras are off Harry, you can see that he's not happy at all. And he's not as liked as what they try and sell to, say, People magazine, for example, who they give their exclusives to.
Now, Taz, just when I thought I could no longer be shocked by the twists and turns in this couple's media relationship, an absolutely bizarre thing happened over the weekend where Meghan decided to use GB News, my former employer, which has definitely done some sort of 180 when it comes to their coverage of the Sussexes. I know a lot about that, which I'm not going to go into in detail today, but they've now effectively been used as the outlet to deny the Hollywood Reporter story. It is an absolutely bizarre article. Here's the headline. Meghan Markle's message to her employees revealed as fresh details emerge after dictator claims. And then the article reads, GB News has been handed an absolute denial of the allegations as well as Meghan's message to her employees, and has confirmed with several current staffers that the Duchess' difficult moniker has never been used. One Archewell source, who asked not to be named, said, "These quotes were fabricated by someone lacking knowledge of our company. The Duke and Duchess work from Montecito and we're based in Hollywood. They likely think we're all in the same office and that this quote would fly, but the circumstances don't even allow for it. If she's marching around and barking orders to Archewell employees, no Archewell employee could factually claim that. It's total nonsense." The Duchess of Sussex had been targeted by claims that she had filed angry 5 a.m. emails to employees. And then GB News has another source saying, "Who hasn't sent an email when they can't sleep or awake early? I've never once ever got an email from either of them at that hour. And even if I did, the Duchess specifically notes in her email signature that everyone has a different working day and to not feel obligated to respond outside of working hours." In another condemnation of the claims, GB News understands that Meghan's email signature contains the phrase, quote, "My working day may not be your working day. Please do not feel obliged to reply to this email outside your normal working hours." So I would say, firstly, Taz, that absolutely confirms that she is sending emails at 5:30 a.m. But whatever. My biggest point is, wow, what happened to GB News? And how desperate is Meghan to now be using one of her former enemies to deny this story? It was nuts.
A royal fairy tale falling apart in real time. Meghan's team continues to push a very polished narrative: the elegant mother, the humanitarian, the brand builder. But behind the scenes, Harry's reportedly burned out. Friends say he misses the structure of royal life, not the institution, but the clarity. Now, he's surrounded by chaos, questionable projects, and a partner who's accused of dodging responsibility. And when Meghan backs out of events claiming to be unwell,
oh, it completely was. I mean, it's such an obvious clapback. I mean, the response that she apparently put, she has that just randomly in her emails, like a sign off, a signature to say, I understand that my working day is not your working day. It makes her sound so magnanimous and just down to earth. And it's just a complete defense of a lot of the accusations that have been directed at her. And it's laughable. It really is. But as you said, GB News, that really did surprise me, because
what are you doing?
We know that they use People magazine. We know that they do things like that. But honestly,
what are GB News doing? Swallowing this propaganda. I mean, it's simply not true. I mean, if you actually break down what they're trying to say, Taz, okay, so are you really saying that Meghan and Harry have had no contact with Archewell employees? Because if so, there's a bigger issue there, isn't there? It's just a completely bizarre defense.
It is. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. The fact that they've gone into every tiny detail about it, saying, oh, well, the staff aren't here. Meghan can't shout at staff because she's never around staff. And it's like, well, really? Is that really true? Because obviously they've lost so many members of staff. And
why are they leaving? Why are they all leaving? Exactly.
Too many, Dan, way too many.
Why not issue a response to why 12 staff members in the US have decided to speak out against you? Why not issue a denial about why actually close to 40 staff, according to Angela Levin, have now left their employ either in the UK or the US? There was no even attempt to address that.
No, it's like they've picked the most petty thing that they could have addressed, which is Meghan sending 5 a.m. emails. In the grander scheme of things, I don't think employees are running out of the Archewell offices because they get an email when they log into their accounts or whatever time it is. It's quite clearly obvious that something a lot more horrid is going on with the treatment of the staff. Because to lose, I mean, we know it's 18 definitely of the top executives, but obviously that doesn't account assistants, administration, house staff, and all of the other people that make, you know, a business work that maybe would be lower level. It's honestly the ratio of the amount of staff that they've lost from when they've left the royal family, and they can't blame the royal family. It doesn't look very good for them as being employers. They sound like horrible bosses, which is ironic because obviously Meghan was had a cameo in that film.
Yes. Now, Prince Harry is in New York without Meghan Markle. This is like the ultimate globalist fest, isn't it, Taz? Because he was with the Queen of Belgium, the Hollywood star Forrest Whitaker, and then Dr. Tedros, the malign influence from the World Health Organization. So this is Harry doing his globalist thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Harry being the global leader that he likes to tell us that he is, and we don't actually know who he leads. I mean, it's clearly obvious that Meghan leads him around their garden on a regular basis. But he looks like, look at him there. Look at that picture, Dan. He looks like a deer caught in the headlights. He's out of his depth. He really is. He only knows how to be someone that sits there, shakes hands, introduces themselves. I'm Prince Harry. And that's pretty much it. He's completely out of his depth with these people. He's only honestly there. He's invited purely because of his royal connections, because he is Diana's second son, because his father's the king. People are not inviting Harry there for his intellectual capabilities.
Prince Harry, that you say you are disgusted about. So explain what's happened here.
I'm sorry, Dan. I've just literally been connected to you. I haven't had a word that you've just said.
Oh, sorry, Taz. So sorry, Taz. Let me just repeat that again. Sorry, we're having crazy technical issues today, but thank you for hanging on. I was just saying
issues.
Technical issues, sadly, yes. But I was just saying, there's a new Invictus Games controversy involving Prince Harry and a veteran on the Canadian team who says he's out of thousands of dollars after being injured on the court. And Taz, you're disgusted by this. Surely it's something that Prince Harry, given his millions and millions, could easily just step in and resolve, right?
I think this pulls the entire Invictus Foundation under a very, very negative light. I actually think this is appalling.
And then pops up looking perfectly fine the next day. It only adds fuel to the fire. Could this be the beginning of the end for Harry and Meghan? Some say yes, that Harry is slowly realizing the cost of walking away from the firm and who he walked away with. Others say this is just a rough patch, and they'll survive like always. But one thing is clear. The shine is gone. And even Harry knows it. So what do you think? Is Harry finally waking up to the reality?
Over the last couple of years, we've seen them spend so much money, it's been reported, on Harry and Meghan's appearances. There's money reportedly. There was a whistleblower that came forward and had said that there were concerns about Harry's and Meghan's expenses eating into the funds. We know that Canada, the Canadian government, gave, I believe it was 30 million Canadian dollars to help bolster this big Whistler event that they've got, the first Winter Games. Money should be spent prioritising the veterans attending those games. Money should be spent on making sure that they can attend the games, that their families go with them. And there should be insurance in place to make sure that if any of the veterans are injured, that it's taken care of. This is honestly, it did make me very, very angry. And it's very sad to see, because I think outside of the umbrella of the Invictus Games once being under the Royal Foundation, now that it isn't, we are seeing more and more negative things towards the overall treatment, I would say, in this instance, especially to the veterans, the people that the Games is meant to be about. The fact that it's actually meant to be helping veterans and their families, and yet they have left this gentleman in this situation where he's thousands and thousands of pounds out of pocket. And I cannot believe that the Invictus Games cannot afford to pay for medical expenses. He injured himself playing in those games.
Very, very good point. And gosh, it really hasn't been a good weekend for Harry and Meghan, because the National Portrait Gallery has now decided to mothball this black and white image that they initially acquired, and they're now not going to be displaying it at all, despite a big announcement from the photographer. Do you know what happened here?
Yeah, this made me laugh. It really did make me chuckle this morning. It's because Miss Anne Harriman made such a big announcement when this photograph was apparently going to be displayed. You know, he posted it on Instagram, but straight away there were issues, because despite him going publicly with it, saying, you know, dreams can happen, this is huge, my portrait's going to be hanging up in the National Portrait Gallery, which the media initially ran with. The National Portrait Gallery issued a statement when I think it was the Daily Mail, someone had spoken to them, and they said, we've only just received it. It's got to go through cataloguing yet. We don't have any intentions of displaying it at this point. And it's almost as if Miss Anne Harriman checked his phone that the postman had delivered it, and the moment that there was a signature at the National Portrait Gallery, he's gone, my work's being displayed. It was this big, huge announcement and fanfare. Now, whilst it is still quite, I'm sure, a wonderful thing for him that they're going to keep it in their catalogue system, they've got hundreds of thousands of photographs down, dating back to, I think, the 1800s, of, you know, lots of images that are held there. So it wasn't quite this big, shiny, trumpet-blowing exercise that I think he tried to portray it. It was like he was saying, hey, look, my work's going to be hanging up on the wall. It's going to be part of a big collection, and it's just going to be number 259,000 in the...
Behind Meghan's carefully managed image? Is this just tabloid noise, or the slow unraveling of a royal marriage? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you're seeing the cracks too. And don't forget to subscribe for more raw royal commentary.
See them filming
and including in the Netflix series a private text message. Okay, they don't reveal the contents, but clearly a negative text message that William...
Absolutely. What we're really now seeing is that both of them, having posed as the victim for so long, are really the aggressors. And what I really thought at the end of it as well was this, which I think is a very, very pertinent point. When they came across for the Queen's funeral, and there was that amazing scene outside the castle of meeting the well-wishers in the walk, there was always talk of reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Charles and William and Kate go one side, Harry and Meghan the other side, smiling and all the rest of it. But at that time, William didn't know that Harry and Meghan had already recorded their poison for Netflix. It was already edited. All the stuff that we heard today about Charles lying, about William screaming and shouting, was in the can, was being edited. And they duplicitly did not reveal what they were going to do. Now, Harry's got form on that, because he did exactly the same at Prince Philip's funeral when he recorded that whole thing about how his father was responsible for his mental breakdown. And he stood in the St. George's Chapel, knowing that he'd done his family down in the Apple broadcast, the armchair broadcast, and didn't reveal it. So he's as duplicitous as Meghan, but it's worse, because she's an actress. She's got no stake in this country. But Harry, a former army officer, betraying the army, his country, his family, his father, dumping on the king, the future king too, and also on his grandmother, that is extraordinary. I mean, Diana would be shocked. The one thing Diana didn't do was be so duplicitous, so dishonest.
Well, no, and Diana made it clear, didn't she? Her criticism was always reserved for Charles.
Absolutely.
Not for the Queen, not for the institution of monarchy itself.
But Harry has actually gone out of his way to undermine everything that we stand for.
Tom Bower, the best-selling investigative journalist behind some of the most explosive royal biographies, has spoken out again. And this time, he's calling the unraveling of Meghan and Harry's narrative extraordinary. The couple once captured global sympathy. But now, they're facing growing backlash, mounting inconsistencies, and what Bower calls a complete collapse of public trust. So today, we're unpacking what Bower said, what's being exposed, and how Meghan and Harry's credibility is slowly and very publicly falling apart. Tom Bower isn't just a columnist with opinions. He's a forensic researcher and royal insider with a track record of uncovering elite hypocrisy. He's written best-selling exposés on the royal family, Boris Johnson, and yes, a scathing biography on Meghan Markle herself.
He's gone out of his way to undermine the family, the institution, everything. And I think Diana, well, I know, we all know, Diana would be shocked that we're sitting here today discussing her son as an outright liar, as a man who conspired with Meghan in this 6 hours of perfidy. You know, for example, the whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know the first interview was given to CBS. We all know that she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home. We know that they deceived the public about the birth date and time of the whole event. So, and also, you know, even it goes down to the lawyer saying that in that statement, when they have that long attack on the Mail, which is astonishing, that Meghan, we know she lied in her statement, that she says that she didn't cooperate with Omid Scobie, and she said that she didn't consult anyone when writing the letter to her father. That was in a sworn written statement. That was untrue. She then admits that it was untrue. But her lawyer says Meghan didn't lie. Well, extraordinary how the whole thing is unravelling.
And yet they don't produce any evidence.
None at all.
Of the claims that they have made against the royal family. For example, William being a bully. For example, this idea that the royal family was conspiring with the press to bring them down. Where is the evidence?
It's always they. They never name them, except they did name Jason Knauf, the man who in the end exposed Meghan's lies, and of course they're furious with him. So the whole series ends with that statement on the screen which says, Knauf is the liar, not us. And that is the level they've sunk to. But I also think, Netflix have a lot to answer for. If an established broadcaster in Britain or America produced that sort of succession, 6 hours of lies, they would be absolutely hounded out.
No balance.
Not in no balance, no truth,
whatsoever.
no criteria. I mean, what is the criteria? It is just propaganda. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propagandist, would look with real awe at what the Sussexes and Netflix have achieved.
Because what they've done quite cleverly, right, especially for an international audience, because I know this is landing well, shockingly, outside of the UK. What they've done very cleverly is they use their friends, their lawyer, academics who have always backed their side of the argument to seem to give a balanced picture. It's as if you are watching a balanced documentary, but in fact, all of those people are stooges. They are plants for Harry and Meghan. I mean, this friend, Lucy Fraser, I think her name is, she's some sort of PR. She's stating as categorical fact, right, that there were internals, as she calls them, at the palace who had decided that Harry and Meghan had become too popular, so they had to bring them down. Who has told Lucy that? Harry and Meghan. She hasn't spoken to anyone at the palace.
When Bauer says their story is unraveling, he's not speculating. He's highlighting pattern contradictions, shifting timelines, and strategic silence from Meghan and Harry as their once sympathetic tale begins to crack. The paparazzi chase in New York, billed as near catastrophic by their rep, yet NYPD, taxi drivers, and on-site eyewitnesses told a very different story. No danger, no high-speed pursuit. Archie's security and titles. They claimed Archie was denied a title due to race. In reality, he wasn't entitled to a princely title under royal rules, same as many others before him. These are not minor inconsistencies. These are claims that shaped public perception, and now they're backfiring. According to Bauer, the unraveling goes deeper than factual errors.
But what's really extraordinary as well is that normally in making documentaries, which I did for more than 20 years at the BBC, you film someone, that's it. This is all acted, it's contrived. Doria always has that little pause, a little tear. Have you noticed how Meghan cries, but there's never a tear? The makeup is never smeared. Everything is so rehearsed.
We found that clip of her, didn't she, saying that one of her great talents is that she can cry on cue out of her left eye.
And the whole construction of her father, that man who in the end was abandoned by Meghan for months before the wedding, totally left to his own devices, isolated, really felt abandoned. That's why he sold the photographs, because he felt so besmirched. To actually say he was the reason why the whole thing exploded, why they had to leave in Britain. And then, of course, Harry saying, of course, Meghan's got no father. And now he doesn't have a father. They really are.
It's despicable. And I know you've obviously done this, as have I. You go and you speak to the Markles, you get to understand them. But actually, you can look at Meghan's own public statements. I mean, she stood up at the United Nations. That was her most famous appearance before meeting Harry. And she praised Thomas Markle. She said he was a great father who instilled the values in her that allowed her to challenge that soap company, which she talks about all the time. She credited that to... Well, of course it was. But the point is, she credited her father. And now she's sort of trying to say, oh, yeah, he was a good dad, but I actually felt really lonely as a kid.
But I think what is also so terrible is that Harry never went to see the father.
Oh.
And why not? Because Meghan was ashamed of him. Because Meghan was already constructing a whole new narrative to exclude the father. And in that, the father, Thomas Markle, blames Doria. Yeah. And Doria plays a really sinister role in this whole story. Because remember, for 10 years in Meghan's life, from the age of 5 to 18, more than 10 years, she disappeared.
But we never hear about it.
He believes Meghan and Harry used the narrative of escape from oppression as a brand strategy. One that gained them interviews, Netflix deals, and multi-million-dollar visibility. But as that sympathy runs dry, people are starting to question, was this ever really about healing, or was it about positioning? Tom Bauer calls it calculated. And watching the media tide turn, he might be right.
We never hear. And she says at one stage, I went to every one of Meghan's plays at school. Of course she didn't. She was never there.
No, and also...
Thomas Markle paid for the university fees.
And the school fees, and the car, and the home, and the blackout, he paid for everything, the petrol, everything.
So, Tom, look, can we look ahead? Because, of course, this isn't the end. You know, it's only a couple of weeks until we're likely to get the first leak of Spare, the Harry autobiography. Now, I hear lots of people, I disagree with them, but I hear lots of people saying, oh, what more damage can he do? But I think you think this book could be even worse.
Well, I think what they've had to do is they've had to stage and restrict what's in Netflix so they've got something new to sell the book, because there's £20 million at least. Well, I think there's definitely got to be something about Camilla. She's escaped so far. I think there's
we know they don't like her.
We know we don't like her, and there's the whole race thing there. I think there's more about King Charles, the relationship with his father, the relationship between father and mother. I think there's a lot more about the whole institutions of British government. And I think something of the Queen as well. I mean, what he said about the Queen today was shocking, that she sat there at the Sandringham Summit not saying anything. But what was terrible, he said about the Queen, and he'd done about the Queen, is that he knew that he dumped on his grandmother when he was burying her in Windsor. And that is the level of their duplicity. That is unforgivable of Harry to have done that.
I think it's completely unforgivable, and actually he's trying to undo the late Queen's life work.
Public opinion polls in the UK and even the US are showing a sharp decline in support for the Sussexes. Spotify dropped Meghan's podcast after one season, and Netflix is reportedly cooling on further Sussex projects. Archewell Foundation activity has slowed dramatically. As more and more of their truths unravel, so does the public trust. And without that, the Sussex brand is cracking at its foundation.